All right, test 1 2. I got a few things I gotta fix. Hold on. Oh, that's messed up. Test. I'm gonna have to get rid of the visualizer stuff on the bottom left. Sorry, I've been at it for a while trying to get the internet set up at my place for fiber. Huge ordeal, but it looks like we're back. And I gotta kill that other waveform. There we go. All right. Let me see. There we go. A little music on your guys' end. Some music on my end. What's up, guys? Mike is good. Thanks. Well, probably not as bad as me. Dude, Sean. So they have to bury all the fiber lines like well in advance. So come the day of like actual install, they're like, "Where's the fiber line?" I'm like, "I don't know." They said they buried it while we were out Sunday. And there's like, it's nothing here. So I was like, big scramble. They had to send some guys last minute to bury it. All nightmare through my house. But it looks like we got it running. And unfortunately, all the stuff that I recently bought for like Wi-Fi extenders is going to be like extinct because it can't handle these speeds. So working on it and going to see what we can do. But anyway, per the usual, this stream is intended for educational purposes only. It's not to be used as financial advice. This is all about rainbow theory. If you can't tell, this is the Rainbow Trends Weekly Whale Watch. Shigai Runner here. If you want to find out anything of our information about our Discord, our streams, the traders who use rainbow theory, other than me, if you want to consider me biased, I'm very biased. I don't like trading in black and white. And I painstakingly coded this thing, so I'm a bit biased, needless to say. But definitely go check out the other dudes, any of the tutorial videos and stuff like that. And you find it, so I don't have to. It's all there, rainbow-trends.com if you want to see it. But one of the cool things that we had, if you guys didn't know, it's been well overdue. Holidays have been crazy. You guys know I'm a full-time engineer in real life as well as dad of two. So Happy New Year's to everyone. And we finally went back and we donated to our local animal shelter again. This is what I do because I don't know how to advertise rainbows. It doesn't really go well with trading stuff, and all the stuff that I've been doing with Twitter the past few months. Finally got it online, and Twitter ads is falling on its face. So really, really excited that we spent all that time getting that onboarded, and then finding out like Twitter ads doesn't really work that well. But regardless, I spent a good chunk of our advertising budget on the local dog shelter, and we did another one last weekend. If you can't tell, these things are awesome. So consider this my ad. You guys, I don't charge for any of these streams. I don't even think I allow ads to be posted on them. I don't charge anything for it. It's free. But I will say this: please subscribe, retweet, like, whatever on these videos. It goes a long way, and that's all I ask. But if you guys are ever interested in contributing, obviously this is what we use a good chunk of the funds from the, not a good chunk, but some of the funds that we have for the advertisement campaign goes to the local dog shelter. So even if we don't result in any sales, these dudes get some much needed love and some much needed stuff. Normally they get food and stuff like that, but they're low on soft chews right now, so we've been giving them soft chews and Nyla bones. And if you ever in a pinch and you feel like you want to donate directly to the pups, I don't officially advertise this, but shoot me a DM. If you, whatever you send me, like you send me Litecoin or whatever, I'll just one-to-one match it with the big Walmart order. But we'll be doing out of that again. And anyway, back to the normal stream. I had to kick it off with this because I'm a huge Toyota nut. And I thought this was absolutely hilarious. And apparently a coyote was spotted howling on top of a car out of Tucson, Arizona. And this guy piped in that this is the official end, marks the official end of Toyotathon. Which is just awesome. Which is cool. Back in my day when we used to be on the ranches and stuff, we would ride ATVs, and there'd be these gigantic round bales, and you would act like as tall as these cars, big hay bales, and we'd actually see coyotes like sleeping on them. So you could slowly come over the horizon on your ATV, and you would see a big round bale, and then you would see legs sticking up and they'd be laying on their back, and then they'd hear you flip out, barrel roll off, and continue on. But it has nothing to do with trading. We just like Toyotas and we like Coyotes. There's a lot of talk. We posted in the Discord a good bit about this. The IRS actually had a bunch of changing rules that were going to come into 2025, but it looks like they're actually going to be delaying it. What's the real story behind this? I'm not 100% sure. I think what they were originally saying was none of the exchanges were ready for this, which I think is kind of BS, because there's really only like two crypto exchanges in the United States that are kind of legit. But I digress. Things could be worse, I guess. But anyway, we get one more year of on the books before they go into this type of accounting, which it's, instead of it being like book by book, it's going to be like wallet per wallet, and they want to like know each transaction off every wallet, which is going to get really crazy with like on-chain stuff. But we'll get to it. We'll move on back to the charts. And as you guys know, the important reason what I called this stream, it is the job's not done, is kind of what I feel like and wanted to talk about. Long story short, I think we're moving into a new year. Surprise, surprise. But I think a lot of this is going to be dust settling. And I don't think the job's done. I don't think the job's over. I've been wrong before. You ever been wrong before? I've been wrong before, but I don't think this is over yet. For a lot of reasons, and I'll cover it in a bunch of the tabs and stuff that I've got queued up for tonight. But so far, this thing's been really weird. And I say really weird. We killed this. This sucked, but we killed it. This was the range that we traded for like a year, and then we finally broke through, and we started printing this, which has been a little hard to get a range. I was kind of watching this on H1 to even get any pivots, because we didn't print any pivots from 73 all the way up to like 90. It was just gapped. So it's been kind of weird, and I'm starting to get a feel for it. Some people have been like DMing me and bugging me like, hey, are you seeing Jump the Creek? Are you seeing this? I was like, man, I don't really see much yet. Normally the Creek stuff, I don't try to force it. But the one thing I do notice is we didn't break through this barrier, which held for so long, since March of 2024 until November of 2024. If you look down here, this is an indicator that a few streams back, I showed you guys how to code this yourselves. It's not released, I don't think, because I don't want to deal with all the write-ups that TradingView requires, but to make something public, they'd probably knock it down because it's so generic. But needless to say, this is essentially the price of Coinbase minus the price of Binance, as far as it goes into Bitcoin only. So Bitcoin price minus the Bitcoin price on spot and on Binance. So BTC USD Coinbase, BTC USDT on Binance. And if you noticed here, we flipped bull when Coinbase was leading. And we led for a very long time. And this took us from 72K all the way up to 108. And then the bias flipped. And then it started having a premium on Binance, which is essentially saying is when this is higher, the price for Bitcoin is actually higher on Coinbase and it's a discount on Binance. Vice versa, it's more expensive on Binance and it's cheaper on Coinbase, which basically says this is saying North America is buying, this is saying North America is selling, and vice versa if you want to look at it from the Asia standpoint. Needless to say, this really flipped right before the end of the year, 2 weeks before, and there's a lot of tax harvesting, for the better or for worse, that happens in the United States. We also have the presidential election the presidential inauguration coming up, right? That's only a few weeks away. So I think a lot of stuff has to settle. And we're moved into the new year, so I'm not discouraged that we aren't just like printing new all-time highs all the time. What I'm talking about and looking at is how this is going to print going into 2025, and it's going to take a little while before we kind of get a vibe of what's going on. A lot of big players have risked off. They just want to chill for a bit and see what happens. A lot of crazy stuff happened over New Year's as well. So we had tax harvesting and all that. We had some explosions around the world. We had some attacks, a lot of crazy stuff. That we have inauguration coming up. The Russia war still going on, all that jazz. Not to downgrade it. I absolutely hate war. But the one thing is we aren't just going to go into 2025 and everything's awesome. The one thing is you have to realize, and Josh really kind of focused on this on his last like kind of weekly update stream, was talking about like the first 100 days is going to be key. And that's been something that's really mimicked a lot of my sentiment here. Regardless of what side you're on the presidential regime, the regime change is going to be a shift. Whether that's bullish or bearish remains to be seen. But the one thing I would note is it's hard to judge someone who's not in office. Once they get in office, you can actually start judging them on their actions. You could judge anybody at any time, right? You can judge me as a rainbow whale that you think's an idiot. That go ahead, it's cool. I've been called a lot of things. But the thing is it all looks cool until you're actually behind the seat and seeing what they can do. And in that first 100 days is really going to be where we see what happens. He's talking a lot of pro-crypto stuff. Trump really is. But, I think we're going to get a lot of stuff. I think a lot of stuff's going to happen. I'm not sure what all we're going to get. But people keep pinging me, and I need to look up something real quick. Give me a second. So people keep pinging me, like, what do you think about the Bitcoin reserve? And I'm just not super crazy about it, and they can't understand why, if the strategic reserve, becomes a thing. And I'm just like, regulatory wise, I'm not 100% sure. I say regulatory, it should actually be constitutionally wise. Hold on, I'm doing the wrong thing here. How do I get this photo? Hold on. Open image. There we are. So, if you guys don't remember, like, they had a meeting with Kanye in the White House talking, they had a good bit where he was talking about, like, electric 747 airplanes to get rid of gas engines. And, like, that was a thing. Sounded cool, right? But we'll see what happens. Constitutionally, I love the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I don't know if it's actually going to happen until Congress actually passes it. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they get it done. Maybe they free Ross. Maybe all this stuff comes on. They got Gensler is resigning, so we're going to get another SEC chair. We'll see who he can actually get nominated. There's a lot of stuff on the drawing board, but until it actually happens, I'm going to be kind of just like, eh. I personally think the Bitcoin ETFs were a bigger deal because that stuff's legal now. It's in the law. It's approved. SEC's backed it. You got BlackRock has its rails. Now, if we actually do a strategic United States reserve, I'm pretty damn bullish on that. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. So just don't. We got to see what happens because it's all talk until the dude's in the White House and then you actually see what he's executing. Right? He could come in and say, you know what, we're doing Ethereum now. I think it's better than Bitcoin. You just don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but you get the point. And then back to this chart. This differential here, typically it can't sustain forever. It happens in bursts, and then it flips, depending on the prices and stuff like that. So it inverts, flips, Coinbase has its run. See, look, big pumps here on Coinbase, and then it offloads back to Binance. It's a big tug of war. Right now, we're having a huge differential. Bitcoin is way cheaper on Coinbase than it is Binance right now. You can't really arbitrage this due to the fees unless you're like a super, super high volume user, but it's there, and eventually these things flow and reverse, and then it's going to go back to a premium. So at some point, this is going to flip back to Coinbase being a premium. Whether or not or where that is, I don't really know, but it looks like it's starting to reverse. Now, these things are erratic as hell, but I want to see it reverse and flip blue. So I'm really, really waiting on that, because what I'm really, really scared of is back when I said we haven't really set a pivot since 72,000. This scares the hell out of me because I use pivots. I use the Rainbow Trends pivots all the time for support resistance. Like it's like order block cheat codes. And right now, we don't really have an order block below 90K. So you got like people like Crypto ISO, Josh, a few others talking like, oh, I'll scoop up 80. Dude, 80 scares me bad because I really think there's not support till 73K. Maybe there's something hidden in here that I'm missing. Maybe I need to go look at like Trading Lights order books. I need to go look at maybe some fib retraces, which I'm not crazy about. I prefer the pivots over the fibs, but regardless, this is my order block that has to hold. So if we can at least hold this, I'm going to be very, very bullish going into 2025. Regardless of what happens, I'm still in stack sats mode. I don't care anymore. I think 2025 is going to be our year. I think a lot of people think that, and I've got a lot of reasons why I think that. But we'll see where it goes. Missing the 77 CME gap. You're not going to see the CME gap here on these with the pivots. I don't want to do... That's going to make me reload it. Maybe the CME gap, we'll take a look at that. I don't want to... Let me save it and see if it'll let me do it. I forgot what the CME is. I never look at these. Was it BLX? No. What was this? What's the CME one? Yeah. Maybe it is. But even then, 77K. What's the ticker that is for the CME? BTC. I just don't remember. I never look at it. No, that's the... There it is. Yeah. I need to draw that then. That's a good point. But even then, if you're going to... Dude, like, if we talk that, like, if we really, really want to talk that, if you get to 70K, 77K, I think you're going to touch... I think you're going to go all the way down to 73. Yeah. Which would align with it. Maybe. I hope to God we don't do that. Because, man, if we go to 109 and come back to 77, that is going to suck. But thank you, Techno Gatsy. 31% pullback. Ugh. Either way, not looking forward to it. Not one to see that. But by all means, if we touch all this stuff, I'm a buyer all the way down. I don't care. Like I said, I think this is going to hold personally. But we've tapped it twice, and I'm losing my charts where we were. Hold on. There it is. If you guys don't know, I manually draw the colored order blocks on top of the pivots, and that's kind of how I get a base for it. But I think this is holding. So far, we've tested it a bunch of times, which I don't like testing over and over, but it's starting to kind of look creekish, albeit people have put that creek term in my head. I didn't really see a creek before. It doesn't really look Wyckoff to me, but these creeks did, and we caught those. These two creeks really felt Wyckoffy. This doesn't to me, but it's also been a much longer time range to even get this. But I would want to. It's not textbook. Not textbook. So, but albeit very few things are, but keep that in mind. But that's my thoughts on Bitcoin. That's where I'm at. Regardless, let me see how many days. What day is inauguration? How many days? Got 17 days, 15 hours. So a lot of stuff's going to happen between then, and we're just going to have to see what happens. Moving on, I saw this, and I thought this was absolutely hilarious. Make money easy in the market on high time frames. Start buying slowly on alts when Carpe Noctem is calling for chop and lower, and start selling when he calls for continuation. This has worked since 2020. So he's saying this, does that make me a fade? That's awesome. I always love Josh. Love seeing when he gets like kind of skittish on the top of the ranges. I do pay attention to that heavily. And that one's hilarious because it's just kind of grabbing that gap of when Josh's emotions are switching around. That's amazing. But anyway, moving back to Ethereum. I still have Ethereum, and I have big regrets not selling that top that I originally planned for. We started getting super bullish, and it looked like we were going to continue, and we double tapped it, set a higher high, and we rolled over. I even had the runner bot telling me, hey, this is a top, that's a top, you need to get out. But I felt good. I don't feel as good now, but I still have a DCA here of size around 20, I think it's just under 2,800. So I'm up 24% and I was up 46, which sucks. But in typical Rainbow Trends fashion, I really like this type of color rotation. So if Bitcoin continues to go into price discovery or goes back up to all-time highs, spoiler alert, I think Ethereum follows Bitcoin eventually, even though it may be the worst performing asset of 2025. So that's where that's at. It's just how I think, and for better or for worse. And it just sucks, because that was the TP I wanted, and we failed to break through in it. I had to hold it, and it sucked. But we're here. But we got bottom signals again. We're in the middle of a range, but we'll see if we can climb back up, because there's a lot of orders here. I forgot to preload a soul chart. Let's take a look at soul chart. Yeah. So let me see. This one was not favorable. So maybe it's going to work and just not be as clean. This was the 2 order blocks that I was watching on Sol for a very, very long time, and I was not willing to play with this. A lot of the Rainbow Trends guys were trading this on like 1 hour and 4 hour and trading these big moves, because these were like 40% moves, especially with these big volume impulses. I wasn't willing to play with it until we got above 210 and started DCing back into it, and I was hoping we would get this. A kiss and go, a bump and run, retest, but so far we kind of pulled back pretty hard. It's recovering though. It's not at the top of that order block, so we really want to see it peak out ahead. Wouldn't be textbook, but you could consider that your retest sweep once we get through that and then pull back up. But anyway, moving on. Another thing I spotted this week, which I thought was interesting, is Gammy-chan got retweeted by 9K. As far as I know, 9K and Gammy, I'm big fans of both of them, especially Gammy's knowledge of JDM as well as dirt bikes and motorcycles. But I think these guys are in completely different circles, and 9K was starting to retweet some of this. So I'm starting to see confluence. When I see confluence of people I really, really like, I kind of really, really pay attention. And this was kind of interesting, because I'm starting to see 9K wake up on AI agents, and I've no joke, if you've seen Peps and Stack talking, they've been all over AI agents. It's something I haven't really dove too deep into. There has been some requests to try to get Rainbow Trend stuff into AI agent stuff, but I haven't really done much. But I did see 9K post this, and I put it in the Discord because some people were curious what he was looking at, because he's in the DJ mode looking at stuff, and I instantly clicked paperclip because I was expecting to see Microsoft's Clippy, and I was delighted to see it's something else. The reason I say it's delighted, if you don't know, logos are really, really hard to do. It took us forever to figure out how to do a whale, especially when you do a side profile of a whale. You can't see their rear fin because it's horizontal. It's not vertical like a shark. And I saw this, and I just thought this was so cool. This is their paperclip logo, and it's a paperclip butterfly, which I just thought was cool. Anyway, if you check out their website too, it's pretty cool. So I'm definitely going to be doing a dive into this. I just thought it was super cool. And it looks like AI agents are starting to get actually interesting. So maybe we'll look into it a little more. But anyway, moving on. Cat tax. Dime actually posted an article that's really, really worth a read. He posted it in the Rainbow Trends Discord, so definitely go take a read at this. This is going to be one of the guys that I take like sentiment off of when I think we're going to get closer to the top. If I had to bet, I would think that Dime and Carpe Noctem probably start getting a little uneasy and start getting a little weirded out when we start seeing like traditional top signals when people get euphoric. Because the problem is when you're at the actual top, people don't call it a top. They get euphoric and they keep longing it, and then the bottom blows out, and then people don't want to sell at a lower price, and that's just market manipulation through whales. But the one thing I want to say is, going through this, it's pretty interesting what he says, and I don't disagree with any of it except the fact that he's not rocking any rainbow tools, even though he uses them from time to time. And he won't let me sponsor Huck and Hugo, no matter how hard I try. If you guys don't know, it's his cats. But he's got some really cool info here, and he's personally thinking 140, 180, which I think is a pretty low target but I think it's a good reference to say, hey, if this is your gauge of sentiment, saying 150-ish You got Josh saying like 330-ish. If you got rainbow trend style, looking at like heavily on the Mayer multiple. When I'm in the unknown, I go to the Mayer multiple by default because I know where my walls are. And my Mayer multiple, albeit it's moving since we've originally drew this like a month ago, I'm still kind of got this window here going into 2025. And if I look at the windows of like the highest peak timings of when crypto typically peaked, this is kind of what I was looking at. So, you know, the past isn't going to predict it perfectly, but Bitcoin pretty much follows a 4-year cycle. So far it hasn't, so we're going to keep working that until it doesn't. But needless to say, we're looking at like April to basically the end of the year. This says like November 15th. But needless to say, if we start tagging these colors, and I know it sounds like a broken record, but the problem is people ignore the hell out of Mayer multiple when it starts printing, and you definitely don't want to do that because it's telling you this may not be the peak, but you're in the final run. Whether that's a week, whether that's 3 months, it changes just depending on how parabolic the top is. But so far, we haven't touched that red one. And that's what really triggers it, and that's why I intentionally colored the second standard deviation on the Mayer multiple calculations to flag from yellow to red. We haven't hit the yellow yet. We hit it when we originally hit like 74K from the ETF mania, and then she went sideways. She really had to cool down and cook. Now she's moving back up, and we still haven't touched it here. So even though this is like higher high, it's still not as hot as that. And pardon all my notes. I tweet about it a lot, so I use the same reference page. But anyway, the point is, if we touch that thing, I'm going to start streaming it once a week saying, hey, this is end time. We have to pay attention. Won't call the top, but it's going to tell you you're in it. And per the traditional timings, it's looking like we're going to start tagging the red somewhere around here. And if I do kind of an updated projection, that's roughly it. And that is looking at a minimum price of 180, which is in line with Dime's 140 to 180, all the way up to a high of like 300. Which is just assuming we touch it. We don't go into these bands. In the past, we've gone into these bands before, and we've sustained for a while, or we've come up and just whipsawed them and hit them and only held it for like a week or two. So it just really depends. That's the 20K. That's the 13.5. These are the 60s, the 65 prints. That one didn't even hit it. But regardless, that's going to be a really, really gauge because I have to know where we are on the map to do rainbow trend stuff. Like I have to know where I'm at, what's possible, what's not possible. That's what this is all about. Like, it's price predictions are bullshit. Like they flat out are. But I can tell you price reactions. I can tell you what's possible up, and I can tell you what's possible down. And from there, I can kind of gauge where we're at. And typically, every cycle of Bitcoin since Satoshi started mining the first blocks, we've hit this red thing every single time. And we haven't hit it yet. And it's lining up to here, and it's telling you realistically, or at least it's telling me, and that's what I'm going to share with other people. Not that this is financial advice. This is clearly an art channel with rainbows that spends a good chunk of budget on stray dogs every month. But the point is, realistically, people calling for 2 million, I don't think that's in the cards. We haven't really touched this ever, at least not in the past 2 or 3 cycles, whatever. Maybe back when Bitcoin was below $100, you could touch this, but I don't think that's in the books. And even then, that by the end of the year is $1 million. So these people calling for like multi-million dollar Bitcoin, it's definitely possible. I just don't think it's possible this cycle. Now, maybe these ETFs and option tradings go turbo mode. Maybe we never come back down. Maybe it becomes like a space race for Bitcoin where Russia starts stacking sats, trying to outstack America. America starts mining like crazy. Maybe that happens, and maybe it just all goes to infinity, right? But we need to be realistic and try to start figuring out where we're going to pull stuff out of cold storage. At least that's my thoughts. So that's where we're kind of looking as like a bottom of 2, high of 4, and that's kind of where I'm thinking. Now, it just depends, too. Is it going to go straight up and peak and then pull back down? It can go higher. If it's going to roll, it can't go as high. And that's just where we're going to see what our window is. And just tell yourself this, you're not going to nail the top. You think about the amount of people that sold Wi-Fi above $99,000. There's probably like 10 dudes. So anyway, moving on. I think that's where we're at. If you guys have any questions, please blow up the chat. I think I think we're going to have to get a few weeks into this year. I think we're going to have to get through the inauguration. And then I think you're going to have to start seeing what this president can do. This is an industry that lacks clarity. It really is. And if we can actually get legit clarity on this stuff, I'm super bullish. And it's just the industry has been begging and pleading for clarity. Let it just give us the rule book, and we'll play by the bulls. And then there's just another lawsuit, crushing innovation. If America can start innovating on this, it's going to be awesome. So we'll see. Because I hate the games Gensler's played these past few years, and Coinbase's legal team has just been mopping the floor with them over and over. And now they're leaving. So Gensler's going to be out, and this is the other thing, though. We have to see who gets nominated. All these people have to get nominated and get approval and all this other stuff. It turns into these unfortunate games, but it is what it is. So anyway, moving on. But the big focus, just remember yourself, the bullish side. Bro, you're fine. You just need an impossible sequence of events to play out in perfect order against all odds, and you'll be fine. So focus on your 4-year cycles. There's a lot. I mean, crypto Twitter right now, it's doing everything it can to get you to buy anything except Bitcoin. There's huge focus on AI agents. What was it? 9 months ago, we were talking about Bitcoin Smart Chain. That was a big thing. We just got to chill out. But this is really the cycle. This is your stock to flow chart. And everyone focuses about this damn orange line, and they say, "Oh my God, it's so far up." Blah blah blah. We never hit it. Da da. It's now here. Da da da. People get mad. Forget the orange line. Forget it. Look at the colors. I'm a little biased, by far. I love rainbows and love trading with colors instead of black and white. But if you haven't noticed, we tend to peak when it starts turning yellowish, bright. When you get that transition from orange to yellow, we typically get a peak in the yellow, and then it swoops down. So you want to talk about like trying to figure out all your odds and stuff like this. It's not really fun to just stack sats at times, but these dudes win over long terms, and I think a majority of your portfolio should be playing it safe, because this end of the run, this jump is coming per the playbook. And if we get it, we actually are following a sequence of events to play out perfectly to give you better odds. That's where we're really at. And then we're going to use rainbow trends, Mayer multiple, bots, all this type of stuff to try to figure out when we're topped at, because sometimes these yellows print really, really high. Sometimes these yellows go sideways, and it's really, really rough. That little dip there from this little thing here, that's like a 50% dip. Let me see if I can make this. There you go. That was like 50%. It went from like 60 to like 28. Yeah, that was like a 50% pullback. That sucked. That hurt. But right now, we know we're going to be going into a peak, and I would love to be wrong and we actually hit that orange line. I don't think we are, because we're looking at doing it by the end of the year, hitting this line at some point. And right now, this thing is like at 1.3 million, if you guys can't actually see that. So 1.3 million, that's a bit high of a target. We didn't hit this one last time. Last time it was 100K. I honestly think we would have hit 100K on this run had Bitcoin mining not been banned in China at the time. And we ended up doing like this big double hit thing. But either way, I digress. It's looking like we're coming up on the backside. And this is somewhere between 96K and 1.3 or whatever. We're looking there. So time yourself. This is kind of a joke, but the point is you got a window where you know this stuff's likely going to pump really, really hard the next 3 to 12 months. And you're going to have to get in, work hard, and get out. And if you overlook some of this stuff, you blow past this and it pulls back 50%, it can cost you a cycle, 4 years. It can cost you a lot of years, right? You want to put in that 2-week notice. You want to never sit in a cubicle again. This is the stuff you're going to have to shake your head out, because nobody wants to sell this. I could tell you, You'll say that you want to sell Bitcoin at $1 million. You will want to buy more Bitcoin at $1 million if it actually gets there, or 300K, whatever these numbers are. Give me some 6-figure, 7-figure number. You're going to want to buy it, not sell it. And it is going to feel awful because the odds are you would sell it at 500K and it'll go to $1 million, right? And then you're going to have to stomach watching that and not chase it, because if you sit there and chase it, you're going to get more desperate. You're going to play with more alts, and it's going to go really, really bad. So a little bit lesson there. Good or bad. Hope you enjoyed it. But anyway, moving on. FTX will actually start paying back their claims on January 3rd, which is tomorrow. So people are going to start getting their funds back from FTX. It's a really, really, really shitty deal. Me and FTX and Alameda go way, way back as far as conspiracy theories. And then a lot of that conspiracy theories actually ended up being true. You can go find my old Twitter posts where I'm rambling about them, but just be careful with your stuff. If you guys don't know, I support Kraken. That was the one where I finally stood my ground. So if you ever want to do an affiliate link through Rainbow Trends, go support us through Kraken, because these dudes are all in jail except that one. I think that one made a deal, which is interesting because Gary Wang got a deal and they announced he got a deal. They didn't announce that Trabucco got a deal. But that dude didn't have to testify, and I don't know why he didn't, because a lot of the stuff that these three had to testify over involved conversations that were in writing with Sam Trabucco. He also agreed to return the yacht, which is like $2 or $3 million, $5 million, something like that. Huge, gigantic center console yacht. Regardless, Trabucco, if you're out there and would love to do an interview, let me know, because I would love to talk and have conversations. And if you're protected, who cares? Let's talk shenanigans. It's funny, there's a lot of stuff from back in the day he posted that's like been wiped from the internet, and I can't find it. I've been trying to find the photos of when he talked at the Bitcoin conference in Miami years and years ago, but I can't find a single thing about it. But anyway, moving on. We got those dudes in jail. Forget them. Do Kwon was extradited, if you guys didn't know, and he got all the way back to the United States, and he proceeded to plead not guilty for U.S. fraud charges of over $40 billion. And this is why I'm really a proponent. Actually, I need to... Here we are. I'm going to put this in the TradingView chat. Or not TradingView chat. Put that on the TradingView chart. So, this is kind of... I'm showing you how far this dude blew this up. This was literally like a 99.9999% retrace. It went from $100 to... damn near negative, which is not possible. I don't think it's possible. 0.00 to 3 cents. $100 to 3 cents. Whatever. A lot of zeros, and this is on log. But the point is nothing's foolproof. Even eventually Bitcoin could go down. Satoshi could come out of the woodworks and say, hey, this is how you crack it. Something like that. Highly doubtful. Or maybe these quantum computers can crack it at some point. Maybe. Don't ever have all your eggs in a basket, but definitely consider yourself, hey, there's a new crypto coin that's been pumping. It's awesome. It's called Luna. It's backed, rugged. The stuff that's older, less sexier, that's the stuff that's kind of got like staying power. As much as people talk trash about Ethereum, I like Ethereum. It has a history. It can handle a lot of stuff. It doesn't typically go offline like Solana tends to do from time to time, but Vitalik could definitely screw it up. They could find a bug, ETH could go to zero, and I would be wrecked. But I don't have all my eggs in one basket. I'm trying to zoom in so we can actually see what Luna's trading at, which is crazy. It's still on the thing, and like, if you don't notice, my machine learning reversion bands normally don't do that because typically stuff doesn't go to zero. But yeah, that's where we're at. I don't know why you would ever trade this. Same thing with FTT. Why is FTT being still traded? And the fact that you can buy it on Binance, I think this is Binance's ticker. I think it's just absolutely hilarious. But anyway, be careful because this stuff happens. And like, there was legit stories of people that like went camping. They had millions of dollars of Luna. That's the only altcoin they had in their entire portfolio. That was the only thing they had in their portfolio. They turned a few few chunks of money into millions and millions of dollars. Dude went camping, woke up, came back, hiked back into town, got cell service, and found out he was broke. So that's fun. I'm gonna be recalling your 2-week notice and stuff like that. So anyway, moving on. Another thing we talk about, like chaos. If you didn't know, they tried to blow up a Cybertruck, which this poor dude got destroyed. I think the only guy that died was the one that was in the Cybertruck, but this was in front of a Trump Tower, and I just thought this was insane. That's a huge explosion, but if you go and look at the photos, the windows didn't even crack, which is nuts. I don't know of too many trucks that could do this. We'll see you later, Sean. Much love. But this is pretty wild. And Elon came out today, I think it was saying that the battery didn't even ignite when this thing like got blown up, which is crazy. And you can see like the pressure push that door out there and blew all the windows out. I mean, I've seen videos where people like threw artillery shell fireworks into people's trucks as they like shut their door, and like the doors blow off, the windows blow off too. And I think that was a Chevy or a Dodge truck that I saw that happen to in a video a few years back. But this thing like held pretty well, so it's kind of crazy is the Whistling Diesel dude like destroyed one, but the guy who tried to bomb a building didn't even crack a window because this thing contained it. Even the tailgate's still on, which is just crazy. You see all these people talk trash about these things, but like it literally took a bomb and it held, which is really crazy. Which leads us to the Tesla chart. It's not a good look. We got some pullback, but it is what it is. That being said, though, Tesla's had a huge run. You want to talk about stuff that's going to get unleashed with a new president? This dude's he deals with regulatory hell for every single thing he does, especially rocket launches. And now he's got a buddy in the White House, and Tesla is going to be greenlit to do a lot of stuff. He's going to be launching his rockets and stuff like that. Another big thing with market, this isn't typically bullish. We're kind of rotating colors out. And I'm sorry, I had these cranked up trying to show these on daily. These are the main settings. You just use your mouse wheel. That's what I typically do. And then let that little thing spin and catch up, and you can catch back up. But there we go. It's still a little too hot. But this is not good. It's not. This is not typically a bullish setup that you would want to try to hit this up on. It's a lower high, a lower low, and we're going into the regime change in 18 days. The other big thing about this is this was an election year. The Fed did a lot of stuff to add liquidity to this market to make it run hard going into the election to try to get the current regime reelected. Every regime typically does that. It is what it is. That regime didn't get reelected. So a lot of the stuff that the Fed, Jerome, Janet did is getting pulled off pretty soon. So this is what I'm talking about, like the dust settling. What's up, Trav from YouTube? The dust is gonna have to settle. He's gonna have to get in office. You're gonna have to see what mechanisms the Fed was doing. Like typically, like these non-farm payrolls are getting revised by 6 figures. It's either the most incompetent statistics they've ever had, or it's fraud, or maybe it's a little bit of both. All that type of stuff, all the juice that they do going into elections, going to get pulled out. So, it could be a good move, but I don't think it's going to be an easy move. This transition, it's not. Nothing's easy. It's the hardest job in the world, right? So we'll get the regime change. We'll see what the Fed actually does. We'll see where the rate cuts go. We'll actually start paying a little more attention to the FOMC. The big thing too going into this, somewhere here we're likely going to get terms agreed to on the Russia-Ukraine war. You know where I stand on that. I hate war. I think dogs are the best, and I think humans are the worst. I can't stand it, and it's not about winning. It's just about ending this. There's nothing good about any of this. Nothing good about this. I don't care. and we have to get that ended. And recently, there was a very high-end jet airplane that came out of Russia on a really weird path, looking like it ended up being like a dignitary high up in the Russian government, came and actually talked to the Trump team to maybe start talking terms, and then the news came out like a week later that the terms were not accepted, but at least they're talking. Once he gets in office, they can maybe talk some more. I know there's all this talk about like don't give up, win. The wars aren't really won anymore. You basically come to terms and then agree and end it there. And that's really where that's going to have to be. Now, I will say this, dude, like if we get in the war, I'm really, really bullish on that. War continuation, I'm not bullish on that. Morally, emotionally, as much as I love like the tech in war, I don't like it actually being used. So it is what it is. But with that being said, thank you guys for coming out. We're going to go head to the Discord. Up here at the top at the website, you can always get into our Discord. It's not paywalled by any means. And we're going to go open up the mics. You guys can show me your stuff. If you want me to pull up something in the Discord, you can ask me. I'll show you how it's done. And we're going to go hang out there the rest of the night. Like I said, we don't charge for any of this YouTube content. So please click link or like, subscribe, retweet, do a comment. Shoot me a bad note if you want. Any interaction is appreciated, but I'm going to let you guys go and go hop in the Discord and hang out with the OGs. But thanks for all for coming out, and I will talk to you guys